This is Pod Populi.
Podcast for the people.
Welcome, listeners. This is Ivan Franklin Rose, and this is the one on how to relieve stress in 5 minutes or less. In an article by the same name, written by Emma Sapala, Ph.D., in Psychology Today, April 19, 2024, Emma is a best-selling author, Yale lecturer, and international keynote speaker. She teaches executives at the Yale School of Management and is faculty director at the Yale School of Management's Women Leadership Program. A psychologist and research scientist by training, her expertise is the science of happiness, emotional intelligence, and social connection. Her best-selling book, The Happiness Track, published by Harper One in 2016, has been translated into dozens of languages. Her new book is Sovereign, published by Hay House in 2024. She writes, "These techniques have worked for veterans, students, and others." In fast-paced moments when we need things to work well and fast, breathing is key. How we breathe affects our heart rate, blood pressure, emotions, and memory. When we change how we breathe, we can change our emotions. Research shows that breathing lowers anxiety and depression while improving mental health and well-being. Research shows we can't think straight when we're under high stress, but anxiety or anger breathing techniques can calm us down. It does so by conditioning your physiology and brain for greater resilience. You know those moments when you had a stressful day, you haven't eaten, you're tired and wired, your children are fighting, and you feel like you could lose your mind? Don't you wish you had a magic formula to calm down quickly? Well, there is one, and research backs it up. Jake was a Marine Corps officer in charge of the last vehicle on a convoy going across Afghanistan when he drove over a roadside bomb. When the dust cleared, he noticed his legs were severely injured. This level of trauma and excruciating pain usually results in fainting pretty quickly. But Jake actively prevented himself from going into shock. How? With a breathing technique. As he began to practice it, he regained his presence of mind. It allowed him to maintain his ability to think clearly and perform his first active duty, check on the other service members in his vehicle, and the second active duty, to give orders to call for help. It even gave him presence of mind to tourniquet his legs and think to prop them up before falling unconscious. He was transported urgently to Germany and then to Walter Reed Army Medical Center, where he was told that had he not done those things, he would have likely died. Jake's injuries were so severe that he lost both his legs, but he is alive, has a family, and is well. All this because he knew how to calm his nervous system in minutes, thanks to a breathing exercise in a fast-paced time when we need things to work well, and work fast. Breathing is key. We all know how to breathe, of course. Our first act of life was an inhale, and our last act will be an exhale. Between those pivotal moments, we will take roughly 20,000 breaths a day. That should make us breathing experts, yet most people don't realize that this profound potential the breath has for mental health and how we breathe impacts our physiology, well-being, and cognitive function, our heart rate, blood pressure, emotions, and memory. Our breathing patterns influence the function of many critical areas of the brain. Breathing influences how we perceive the world, think, pay attention, remember, and feel. Our neurons respond to the rhythm of our breath. When we alter our breathing, we can control the activity of our brain cells, and that's why breathing is the foundation of emotional sovereignty. You've probably noticed how hard it is to talk your way out of intense emotions like anger and anxiety, let alone a traumatic situation like the one Jake was in. It doesn't work, and that's where breathing can make a real difference. Research shows that different emotions are associated with distinct breathing patterns. And here's the kicker. When you change your breathing, you can change your emotions. Slowing the rhythm of your breath, especially your exhales, can initiate relaxation. It calms your heart rate and stimulates the vagus nerve, which runs from the brainstem to the abdomen and is part of the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest system. You start to calm down, you feel better, and your ability to reason returns. Try this. Breathe in until your lungs are full, to a count of 4, for example. And then on the exhale, try to breathe out for longer than you breathed in. Ideally, a time and a half or 2 times as long, to a count of 6 or 8. Do this with your eyes closed for 5 minutes and notice the after effects. If you're anything like thousands of people that I've taught, you'll feel calmer with your mind clearer and more present. There is scientific evidence for this. A randomized controlled study we ran at UCLA with at-risk youth found that a 20-minute breath training called SKY, breath meditation, a yoga-based breathing technique offered by the nonprofit Art of Living, reduced impulsivity, a risk factor for substance use disorders, and other psychiatric problems, as well as public health outcomes. Sky meditation is a unique breath-based technique that uses cyclical rhythmic patterns of breath to bring the mind and body effortlessly into meditation. It has been empirically validated and holds distinct advantages over other forms of meditation. In a subsequent randomized control study using the same breath training with college students at Yale, we found that compared to a control group, the breathing group significantly improved mental health above and beyond more traditional cognitive interventions like mindfulness and emotional intelligence. Michael Goldstein at the University of Arizona and Harvard found similar results when comparing Sky Breath meditation to a cognitive stress management program. The effects were even stronger 3 months out, suggesting long-term benefits. In addition, when placed under stress, the breathing group showed less of a stress response than, ironically, the stress management group, suggesting that the breathing helped them become more stress resilient. SKY stands for Sudarshan Kriya Yoga, and instructions on how to do it can be easily found on Google. Beyond cognitive approaches, the power of physiology is what I'd like to discuss next. Why would breathing be more powerful than cognitive interventions? Well, perhaps because breathing practices don't just settle the mind, they actively calm the body's physiology. In line with results from Andrew Huberman's lab at Stanford showing that changing how you breathe can benefit your mood and calm your nervous system more than mindfully paying attention to your breath. The field of clinical psychology currently operates under a cognitive orientation along the lines of Descartes' famous line, "I think, therefore I am." Change your thoughts, change your life, for example. This implies that you can master your mind with your thoughts alone. While cognitive approaches are helpful in many instances, neuroscience research indicates that using cognitive strategies may be difficult when emotions are intense, especially during periods of high stress. In life-threatening circumstances like Jake's, brain areas responsible for rational thought, the prefrontal cortex, are often impaired. That's why you can't easily think yourself out of high anxiety, fear, or anger. Under the influence of intense emotions, our brain's emotion centers, like the amygdala, are highly activated, while the prefrontal cortex, responsible for thinking and regulating the emotion centers, has a weakened condition with them, making it difficult to regulate those emotions. And that explains why it's so hard to talk yourself out of strong feelings or anger or anxiety. That's also why it's so annoying when someone tells you just calm down in those moments. It simply doesn't work. What breathing does to your brain. Enter breathing techniques. Manipulating your breath in specific ways, research shows, can slow down your heart rate in minutes and, as actors well know, shift your emotional state. You will notice how quickly you can do this if you close your eyes and breathe so that your exhales are longer than your inhales for a couple of minutes. That's because our breathing patterns impact the function of many critical areas of our brain. As we mentioned earlier, peer-reviewed studies show that how you breathe impacts your heart rate, blood pressure, emotions, and memory. Our neurons respond to the rhythm of our breath, indicating that when we change our breathing, we can control the activity of our brain cells. It influences how we perceive the world, think, pay attention, remember, and feel. Let's talk about breathing for severe anxiety and trauma. Emma relates one of our Yale undergraduate students suffered from major depressive disorders and anxiety. His parents, first-generation immigrants from Southeast Asia, were abusive and put immense pressure on their only son. He had attempted suicide several times, which is the number one cause of death among young Asian Americans, she says, and he dropped out of Yale 3 times. He was absolutely brilliant. However, even as a mind as sharp as his could not talk himself out of his debilitating anxiety. After going through the breath training, his mental health stabilized and his stutter disappeared. He graduated with honors, became a Gates Scholar, and entered a top graduate program. The deep misery in which he was immersed is now a thing of the past. To test the impact of breathing on this type of severe anxiety, we ran several studies using the same breathing technique we studied in students, with veterans who had combat-related PTSD. In collaboration with the Palo Alto Veterans Hospital and Project Welcome Home Troops, a nonprofit that offers sky breath meditation to veterans and military at no cost, we found that the breath training had the same impact as the gold standard therapy for PTSD, cognitive processing therapy, and the superior results for emotion regulation. Surprisingly, we found results lasted 1 year out, a rare finding for any brief mental health intervention. Let's discuss breathing as a precision medicine. Why haven't we known about the utility of breathing practices for mental health? Although the practices are ancient, with origins dating 10,000 years back in India and other regions, science is still catching up. Yet, merging ancient breathing techniques with modern neuroscience, we can facilitate new breakthroughs that rely on a precision medicine approach for promoting mental health. For example, could we condition the nervous system for greater calm by breathing much like we condition our bodies for greater strength from physical training? Most situations aren't inherently stressful. They are a function of how we experience them. By calming the body and the mind, breathing can powerfully train our nerves for stress resilience. Sure, we may still get upset or anxious, but maybe not as often or for as long. What would happen if, in addition to their usual education and training, students and the military learned breathing techniques to benefit their mental health? What if we all did? In reading her article, I can certainly see a benefit in utilizing this method in our personal and work relationships. Now let's talk about other proven strategies for relieving stress. Recently, I read 2 articles that cover this well. One by Elizabeth Scott, Ph.D., in The Very Well Mind, written 9/13 of 2023, and the other by Sandra Bilray in livehappy.com, both authors I have quoted from before. I've mentioned some of these strategies in earlier episodes, but their articles offer the most inclusive list. A certain amount of stress is just part of the human experience. It's natural. Yet, too many people suffer with severe stress that disrupts sleep, work performance, health, relationships, and life satisfaction. High stress often calls up its pal anxiety, and together they can stir up panic attacks that can interfere with a purposeful life. When we live at such a rapid pace, we may not even realize we are in a tense and stressed state. While you can't always control your circumstances, you might be able to control how you respond to them. There isn't a one-size-fits-all option when it comes to stress relief. What works for one person may not work for another. And what works for you at home may not be an option when you're at work or in the community. For example, dancing around your living room might be helpful, but dancing in a grocery store might not be. So it's important to have a variety of stress relief tools at your disposal. Then you'll be able to pick a strategy that works best for your current circumstances. Here's some ideas that I've taken from both of these excellent articles. First, try guided imagery. Guided imagery is like taking a short vacation in your mind. It can involve imagining yourself being in your happy place, maybe picturing yourself sitting on a beach, listening to the waves, smelling the ocean, and feeling the warm sand underneath you. Guided imagery can be done with a recording where you listen to someone walk you through a peaceful scene, or once you know how to do it yourself, you can practice guided imagery on your own. Simply close your eyes for a minute and walk yourself through it. Think about all the sensory experiences you engage in and allow yourself to feel like you're really there. After a few minutes, open your eyes and return to the present moment. Meditate. Meditation brings short-term stress relief as well as lasting stress management benefits. There are many different forms of meditation to try. Each one is unique and brings its own appeal. You might develop a mantra that you repeat in your mind as you take slow, steep breaths. Repetitive sounds and positive sentences can reach the unconscious mind. Or you might take a few minutes to practice mindfulness, which involves being in the moment. Simply pay attention to what you see, hear, taste, touch, and smell. When you're focused on the here and now, you won't be able to ruminate about something that's already happened, and you can't worry about something in the future. Meditation and mindfulness take practice, but it can make a big difference in your overall stress level as it brings you back to the present. Let the apps Headspace or Breathe become your mindfulness coach. You can find them easily online or on your phone. Next, practice yoga. Yoga combines physical movement, meditation, light exercise, and controlled breathing, all of which provide excellent stress relief. And while you're likely to reap immediate benefits from a single yoga session, you're likely to receive long-term benefits if you incorporate it into your life in a consistent way. Yoga offers a variety of physical, psychological, and spiritual benefits. To get started, you might take a class, enroll in an online program, or use an app to help you begin practicing. Next, let's talk about practicing progressive muscle relaxation. Progressive muscle relaxation involves relaxing all the muscles in your body, group by group. To practice, you can start with a few deep breaths, then practice tightening and relaxing each muscle group, starting with your forehead and moving down to your toes. With practice, you'll learn to recognize tension and tightness in your muscles, and you'll be able to relax more easily. Each time you practice, however, you should experience a feeling of relaxation sweeping through your body. Next, let's talk about focusing on breathing again. We began with sky breathing techniques. Here are some others. Just focusing on your breath or changing the way you breathe can make a big difference to your overall stress levels. Breathing techniques can calm your body and your brain in just a few minutes. The best news is that no one around you will know you're doing them. So whether you're in a stressful meeting or you're sitting in a crowded theater, breathing exercises could be key to reducing your stress. Try alternate nostril breathing. It's called Nadi Shodhana, and it activates the parasympathetic nervous system to reduce blood pressure. It involves blocking off one nostril at a time as you breathe through the other, alternating between nostrils in a regular pattern. It's best to practice this type of anxiety-relieving breathing in a seated position to maintain your posture. Here's how it's done. Position your right hand by bending your pointer and middle fingers into your palm, leaving your thumb and ring fingers and pinky extended. This is known as Vishnu Mudra in yoga. Close your eyes or softly gaze downward. Inhale and exhale to begin. Close off your right nostril with your thumb. Inhale through your left nostril. Close off your left nostril with your ring finger and open and exhale through your right nostril. Inhale through your right nostril, close off your right nostril with your thumb, open and exhale through your left nostril, inhale through your left nostril. Work up to 10 rounds of this breathing pattern. If you start to feel lightheaded, take a break by releasing both nostrils and breathing normally. You can mark this point in the podcast and come back to it later to take notes on that method. Next is belly breathing. According to the American Institute of Stress, 20 to 30 minutes of belly breathing, also known as abdominal breathing or diaphragmatic breathing, each day can reduce stress and anxiety. Find a comfortable place to sit or lie down. For example, try sitting in a chair, sitting cross-legged, or lying on your back with a small pillow under your head and another under your knees. Place one hand on your upper chest and the other hand on your belly, below the rib cage. Allow your belly to relax without forcing it inward by squeezing or clenching your muscles. Breathe in slowly through your nose. The air should move into your nose and downward so that you feel your stomach rise with your other hand and fall inward towards your spine. Exhale slowly through your slightly pursed lips. Take note of the hand on your chest, which should remain relatively still. Although the sequence frequently will vary according to your health, Most people begin by doing this exercise 3 times and working up to 5 to 10 minutes, 1 to 4 times a day. Only you can decide if the time it takes to practice any of these methods we shared today is worth the trade-off for your better health and relationships. Next is box breathing, also known as four-square breathing. Box breathing is very simple to learn and practice. In fact, if you've ever noticed yourself inhaling or exhaling to the rhythm of a song, you're already familiar with this type of paced breathing. It goes like this. Exhale to a count of 4. Hold your lungs empty for a 4 count. Inhale to a count of 4. Hold the air in your lungs for a count of 4. Exhale and begin the pattern anew. 4-7-8 breathing is next. The 4-7-8 breathing exercise, also called the relaxing breath, acts as a natural tranquilizer for the nervous system. At first, it is best to perform the exercise seated with your back straight. Once you become more familiar with this breathing exercise, however, you can perform it while lying in bed. Place and keep the tip of your tongue against the ridge of tissue behind your upper front teeth during the exercise. Completely exhale through your mouth, making a whoosh sound. And close your mouth and inhale quietly through your nose to a mental count of 4. Hold your breath for a count of 7. Exhale completely through your mouth, making a swoosh sound to a count of 8. Next is lion's breath, or simhasana in Sanskrit, during which you stick out your tongue and roar like a lion. It's another helpful deep breathing exercise. It can help relax the muscles in your face and jaw, alleviate stress, and improve cardiovascular function. The exercise is best performed in a comfortable seated position, leaning forward slightly with your hands on your knees or on the floor. Spread your fingers as wide as possible. Inhale through your nose. Open your mouth wide, stick out your tongue, and stretch it downward towards your chin. Exhale forcefully, carrying the breath across the root of your tongue. While exhaling, make a ha sound that comes from deep within your abdomen. Breathe normally for a few moments. Repeat lion's breath up to 7 times. Next is resonance breathing, or coherent breathing. This can help you get into a relaxed state and reduce anxiety as well. Lie down and close your eyes. Gently breathe in through your nose, mouth closed, for a count of 6 seconds. Don't fill your lungs too full of air. Exhale for 6 seconds, allowing your breath to leave your body slowly and gently without forcing it. Continue for up to 10 minutes. Take a few additional minutes to be still and focus on how your body feels. Now, it helps to understand chest breathing versus abdominal breathing, so I'd like to cover that here. Most of us aren't really conscious of the way we're breathing, but generally, there are 2 types of breathing patterns. When anxious, we tend to engage in thoracic or chest breathing, which causes an upset in the body's oxygen and carbon dioxide levels, resulting in increased heart rate, dizziness, and muscle tension, and other physical sensations. Your blood is not properly oxygenated, and this may signal a stress response that contributes to anxiety and panic attacks. This type of breathing comes from the chest and involves short, rapid breaths. When you're anxious, you might not even be aware you're breathing this way. Diaphragmatic abdominal or deep breathing, on the other hand, stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system, which is part of the peripheral nervous system responsible for regulating heartbeat, blood flow, breathing, and digestion. This type of breathing is deep, even breathing that engages your diaphragm, allowing your lungs to expand and creating negative pressure that drives air in through the nose and mouth, filling your lungs. This is the way newborn babies naturally breathe. You're also probably using this pattern of breathing when you're in a relaxed stage of sleep. Deep breathing helps you avoid the fight or flight response or acute stress response to mentally or physically terrifying situations. How can you tell if you're breathing properly? Well, the easiest way to determine your breathing pattern is to put one hand on your upper abdomen near the waist and the other hand on the middle of your chest. As you breathe, notice which hand raises the most. If you're breathing properly, your abdomen should expand and contract with each breath, and the hand on it should raise the most. It's especially important to be aware of these differences during stressful and anxious times when you're more likely to breathe from your chest. Pay attention to how you breathe when you are relaxed versus when you feel stressed and anxious. Practicing breath exercises regularly can help you learn to consciously shift to this type of breathing when stressed, which can calm your body and induce a relaxation response. Okay, enough about breathing. Let's move on. But it's interesting how many different types of breathing there are. One would never have guessed. All right, these are other steps that you can take when you have more time and it's not so critical to alleviate stress in your life and anxiety. First, walk in nature. Fresh air, birds chirping, trees reaching to the sky, and sunshine beaming down all have a calming effect on your mind. It is a fantastic stress reliever that can work in minutes. Taking a walk allows you to enjoy a change of scenery, which can get you into a different frame of mind and brings the benefits of exercise as well. So whether you just need to take a stroll around the office or get a break from a frustrating task, or you decide to go for a long walk in the park after work, walking is a simple but effective way to rejuvenate your mind and body. Go near water, a pond or lake or an ocean. Listening to or watching water has a soothing effect. Also, prioritize exercise. Physical activity in general is key to managing stress and improving mental health. And the best news is there are many different kinds of activities that can reduce your stress. Join a gym, take a class, or exercise outside. Keep in mind that there are many different ways to get more physical activity in your day, too. Walking, strength training, kayaking, hiking, spin class are just a few examples of a way that you can get stress relief. It's just science. Regular workouts combat stress and give you a dose of feel-good endorphins. Plus, it helps you get a better night's sleep, making you more equipped to positively handle stress. Even stretching helps. It feels good, it's good for you, and it slows you down. Try stretching in the mornings when you wake up, especially your toes. Crinkle your toes up. Very good for keeping everything working properly. Get a hug from a loved one is next. Physical touch can do a lot to relieve your stress. Hugging a loved one can be especially beneficial. When you hug someone, oxytocin, also known as the cuddle hormone, is released. Oxytocin is associated with higher levels of happiness and lower levels of stress. Oxytocin also causes a reduction in blood pressure. It reduces the stress hormone norepinephrine and can produce a sense of relaxation. So don't be afraid to ask a loved one for a hug if you need it. It's good for both of you, and it can be done as one of the simplest forms of stress relief available. Next, obtain social support. Having supportive people in your life is one of the keys to stress management. If you lack emotional support and friendship, it's important to get it. That may mean reaching out to your existing network. Perhaps confiding in a family member or distant friend can help you become closer, and it may give you the social support you need. Or expand your network by joining an organization, attending a support group, or getting professional help if you lack supportive people in your life. Next, express gratitude. Gratitude helps you recognize all the things you have to be thankful for, whether you're grateful for a sunny day or thankful you arrived at work safely. Think about all the good people and things you have in your life. Ask yourself, what's good right now? Train your brain to notice everything that's going right in your life instead of wrong. This has a lot to do with positive thinking versus negative thinking. I've covered that in earlier episodes. But it really does structure your day. What you think about, put in the universe things to come true one way or the other, because you'll draw yourself to those things. So think about good things more than the bad things, and good things will happen. It's just nature, the nature of it. All right. Also, journaling goes along with that. Get what's churning in your head on paper. It's just cathartic, and often the process leads to solutions. I've talked about journaling before as well, but it helps to see it on paper. You can put in there things that happen to you during the day and what you're grateful for and what your goals are, but just having it on paper and seeing it can make the world of difference to you achieving it. Try doing one thing nice for someone. It's human nature to help, and it feels good for the receiver and the giver. Try it. I think you'll find it will change your whole frame of mind. Enjoy aromatherapy is next. Aromatherapy has real benefits for stress relief, and it can help you to feel energized, more relaxed, and more present in the moment. Emerging research suggests certain scents can alter brainwave activity and decrease stress hormones in the body. So whether you enjoy candles, diffusers, or body products, consider incorporating some aromatherapy into your day. Use essential oils. Just smelling a bit of lavender can help you shift to a calmer state. Another thing you can do is create artwork. Getting in touch with your creative side may have been easy for you during childhood, but it's not too late to pick it up again if you've lost touch with your penchant for artwork. If you aren't into drawing or painting, consider coloring in a coloring book. Adult coloring books have risen in popularity, and for good reason. Coloring can be a great stress reliever. Research consistently shows that coloring can have a meditative effect. One study found that anxiety levels declined in people who were coloring complex geometric patterns, making it a perfect outlet for stress reduction. And so you can do clay work, pottery, work with your hands, origami, anything that gets you to take your mind off the troubles of the day, anything that you have to focus on intensely that helps you to express your creative side, but also just changes your thought patterns from what you've been thinking about all day. So think of anything you can, puzzles, anything you can do with your hands and your brain to take your mind off things. Next, savor a glass of wine, perhaps, if you're a drinker. Feet propped up, of course. If you don't drink, savor a savory juice. Sometimes a juice cocktail can have a distinct flavor to it, like pear juice or peach nectar or something that has a great aroma to it. Take a bath. Bubbles and dim lighting can create a relaxing atmosphere. Wine optional. Get a full body massage. Enjoy a cup of hot tea. Sample different types until you find the one that soothes you. Peppermint, chamomile, and green tea will all do the trick. Have music you love readily available. Whether you use Pandora, Spotify, iTunes, or something else, make sure you have music you love at your fingertips. Belt out your favorite song. Blast your favorite band or go zen with your tunes. Music is a powerful outlet and strategy all in one. Next, dance. Dancing can help release pent-up emotions. It's a healthy way to escape stressors, and you also get the endorphins that come from exercise. If you sweat it out, that's even a bonus. Sometimes in the morning, get up, you have extra time, dance to some fast-paced music that you like. Just get yourself all going for the day. Get yourself awake and alive and alert. You'll feel great. Next, amazingly, clean. Vigorous cleaning can give you a sense of accomplishment and order. Even better while you're listening to music. And going along with that, organize. Let's face it, stress is often caused by situations that feel out of our control. Organizing puts us back in control and can bring you to a calm state. Next, sit on the patio. When is the last time you just sat to relax and do nothing? If you have a patio, it's a great place to wind down and just breathe and relax. Okay, next, count. The repetitive, mundane task of counting can distract your mind when it goes to a worrisome place. Next, sleep. Sleep is part of the big three, with the other two being nutritious food and exercise. Go for 8 hours when you can, even if you've tried to convince yourself you only need 6. Try a mental shift. Realize you and your friend, significant other, or family member are on the same side. Next time you get agitated about something they have said or done, remind yourself that you're on the same page and you're on the same team. Choose not to react and watch the difference it makes. After all, you want the same things. You want a harmonious life. You want to be able to relate to each other and care about each other and be there for each other, whoever that person is. So that's the page that you're on. Try to get there in a way that makes sense for both of you, and try not to get aggravated every time something happens. That leads me to the next one, is let it go. If you can't control it or change it, consider letting it go. Smile and see how it changes your mood. I did a whole podcast on smiling. You'll love it. Refer to it. It'll change your day. Next, run. They call it runner's high for a reason. There's something magical by being able to lace up your shoes anywhere, open a door, and just go. Speaking of going, go fishing. Fishing is a great relief for tension and stress, anxiety. Casting out a reel, if you hadn't tried it, it's just wonderful. It's just doing nothing and relaxing. Next, try gardening. Flowers, vegetables, or spices. Occupying your hands in the earth will make you feel grounded. Also, you can try labor rage. Curse like mad at those weeds while you're gardening. Punch a punching bag. Release stress through a physical exertion. You know, there are rooms that you can go to that you can pay for plates and things to break, and all you do is go and break them. Throw them against the wall. It's a great way to relieve stress. You can go to places that have the axe throwing, and you can practice throwing an axe against a target. Anything that gets you physically to release your anger, hostility of the day, if you have any, and you'll be amazed at how it can make you feel. All right. Next, pet an animal. If you have an animal, you know how exhilarating it can be to do that. The repetitive motion and the loving care will relax you for sure. Laugh at yourself. Can't find your keys again, or you trip on a curb, smile and laugh at yourself. We've all been there. And it helps to take yourself lightly that way. Don't worry about what you look like for others. You know who you are, what you are, how good you are. You don't need someone else to validate you or to be sympathetic when something happens. Just laugh it off. And you'll see how it'll change your mood on there. You can also watch a comedy show. Laughter is the best medicine. That'll change your mood for sure. And there's plenty of comedy online to source, and you're from your phone, from social media, or from TV shows. You'll find something to laugh at. Let's talk about developing a positive self-talk habit. The way you talk to yourself matters. Harsh self-criticism, self-doubt, and catastrophic predictions aren't helpful. If you're constantly thinking things like, I don't have time for this and I can't stand this, you'll stress yourself out. It's important to learn to talk to yourself in a more realistic, compassionate manner. When you call yourself names or doubt your ability to succeed, reply with a kinder inner dialogue. Positive self-talk can help you develop a healthier outlook. And an optimistic and compassionate conversation can help you manage your emotions and take positive action. It's so important to get your mindset in a positive way. Now let's look at problem-focused coping stress relief. I had a whole podcast on coping mechanisms, but we're just going to do a paragraph. Most stress relievers focus on changing your emotions, but sometimes you won't necessarily get relief until you change the environment. This is referred to as problem-focused coping, as opposed to emotion-focused coping. Problem-focused coping involves taking steps to remove the stressor from your life, as opposed to changing how you feel about the stressor. Sometimes you just have to let people go in your life if they're causing you so much stress. Your health is worth more. So it's just something to consider, and I have a whole podcast on that. Reassess your to-do lists. If you're trying to squeeze 20 hours worth of work into 16 hours, you're going to feel stressed. Reducing your workload could be key to helping you through the day feeling better. Whether that means stepping away from a committee you joined, or it involves hiring someone to complete some of your household chores for you, honing your time management skills can allow you to minimize the stressors that you experience and better manage the ones you can't avoid. When you're able to complete everything on your to-do list without the stress of rushing or forgetting, your whole life feels easier. Isn't that true? Lastly, cut out things that add to your stress. Sometimes the best way to reduce your stress is to cut something out of your life. Get rid of the things that are adding to your stress so you can experience more space. Not just people, sometimes it's other things. Watching the news, being constantly connected to your digital devices, drinking alcohol, and consuming too much caffeine are just a few of the things that may add more stress in your life. Sometimes the foods you eat can cause stress in your life. Making some changes to your daily habits could be instrumental in helping you feel better. And if you feel you might need to, please seek professional help. If you often feel overwhelmed and have trouble coping, and these tools don't seem to work for you, seeing a mental health care provider may be helpful. They can help you identify factors that trigger your stress and teach you coping skills to deal with stressors. I hope you have heard today a stress management tool that you may not have realized before, or even a new method of breathing exercise for relieving stress in a hurry. Perhaps you might mark the timestamp of a part you want to come back to later and take some notes. Whatever you do, remember to start each day with a smile. Find something each morning to be grateful in your life, giving yourself the best chance for that positive attitude so necessary for a great day.